Today's daf is Nedarim, Masechus Nedarim, Daf Memches. So we are at the beginning of the Mishnah, which we already started, but we'll recap the beginning of the Mishnah, the last four lines on Memches and Beis. So the Mishnah says, Hareini alech a cherem. Somebody tells his friend that he will be on him like a cherem, and the Ran speaks out that it's talking about in Gullo, which in Gullo, when somebody says cherem, it means stam cherem lebedek habayis. So if somebody says Hareini alech cherem, then he has kavanah pshatas to aser himself like hektish, which is bedek habayis. So halacha is muder aser is the muder is aser to have enough from the madir. If he says Harei atalai cherem, you are me a cherem, then the noider is aser to have enough from his friend. Hareini alecha ve'atalai. If he says you are me a cherem and I'm on you a cherem, the halacha shneim is when they're both aser on each other. Ushneim mitarim. However, the Mishnah says they're both mutar b'davar shel oili bavel. In things that the oili bavel made. Why? Because the things that the oili bavel made, when they made it, they had in mind to anybody from the Jewish people could use it. Anybody in Klal Yisrael could use it, and it doesn't belong to any specific person. So therefore, it's not considered when they're using it that they're having hana from the other guy, because it doesn't belong to any specific friend, any specific person. However, the halach is vasur medavar shel oisi ir. Something from that specific city where they're in is asur, because then it's considered they're having hana because it belongs to that city, and it's considered having hana from their friend which lives in that city. Zaktim Mishnah ve'ezu davar sha'oili bavel kagoyin harbayis v'hazaris. What's something that belongs to the oil bavel made? The harbayis and the hazaris. V'habor shebe'emtza derech. The pit that's in the middle of the way, that is something that the oily bubble, people came up from bubble and they dug. Ve'ezu davar sha'oili, what's something that belongs to the people from that city? Harchava, the street, v'amerchas, the washhouse, Beis HaKnesses, their place of tefillah, v'hateva, and the place where they put the Sefer Torah on when they read in it, v'hasvarim, and their Sifrei Torah. V'hakoisev chalka l'nasir, v'hakoisev, a guy that's a writer and he gives over his thing to the nasi. So that is something that somebody that's moider hana from his friends, he's allowed to have hana from it because it does not belong to the madir, it belongs to the nasi. So Rabbi Yehuda just adds on and he says echad koisav l'nasi ve'echad koisav l'hedit has the same halacha. Whether the guy that's writing and he gives it over to the nasi or he gives it over to the hedit, a random person, it has the same halacha that it's mutter for the moider to have ana because it doesn't belong to the madir. So what's the difference? Mabi koisav l'nasi koisav l'hedit. The only difference is that koisav l'nasi ain't tzarich zakaf. Somebody writes it to a nasi, and as soon as he writes a shtar matana, the nasi is zeichin it. Masha inkin, if he writes it to a hedit, then somebody else has to make a ma'isa kinyan that the hedit should be zeichin it. The Chacham Omer and the Chacham say echad zeh ve'echad zeh tzrichel zakis. No matter who the koisav gives it over to, the person has to be zeichet al yidei a person doing a ma'isa kinyan. Like Dibrun Benasi ala Baheva. So I was like, why did the Mishnah chapa on Koisav Chalkal and Nasi specifically? If it has the same halacha as Hadiyat. Teretz is that it's normal for people to give it over to a Nasi. Why? Because if someone wants to give over his nechassim or something that he owns, if he gives it over to a regular person, he's going to be afraid that maybe the person is going to aser as ana on him, and then he won't be able to have ana from his nechassim anymore. So if he gives it over to a nasi is not the derech that he asks the ana on other people. Rabbi Yehuda says, "Ein anshe galol tzrichen lichtov." So this last piece that we saw in the Mishnah, the idea was that even in Dvarim Shel Oisei Ir, which normally would be aser between a madir and a moider, if it's given over to a nasi, that was the heter, then it doesn't belong to the madir anymore in the kavana. Yehuda says, "Ein anshe galol tzrichen lichtov." The anshe galol do not need to write their part to a nasi in order to be matter the moider hana to have hana from Dvarim Shel Oisei Ir. Why? Shekvar kosfu avisehen al yedayim, because their fathers already wrote it, that people in Gaul, the fathers already wrote it for their kids, that they should not come to be over on Shavuos and Nedarim, which was common thing, it seems like. So in Mela, the people of Gaul, they don't have any part of Dvarim Shalir, and everything belongs to the Nasi. That's the way it works in Gaul. And people that made Nedarim on each other, in Gaul it's not an issue, and you can have Hana from Dvarim Shel Oiseir. So Zak the Gemara. Gemara wants to know, Zak the Hilig Gemara, my metaser. So the Gemara's understanding right there, and at this point in the beginning of the Gemara, that from the Mishnah would seem that even if somebody's Maser Chelkel Nasi, at least from the first part of the Mishnah, it would seem that there's an Isser. Anytime a guy asks his friend in something, he can't have Hana because we're afraid that he can't use something that belongs to the public because we're afraid he's having Hana because it belongs to the person he asked her at all, made the Neder on also. So Gemara is asking, L'char, it's mashma, even if it's Kais of Chalka. It's like, Gemara, my Matasa, why is it Aser? If he's Masa Chalka and Asi, L'char, the Mahdi does not have any part in it anymore, so it should be Mutar. Rav Sheshes, no. Hachi Getani. He's saying that this is what it says in the Mishnah, that Moiser Chalka Nasi. So that's the part that the Mishnah is saying is mutter. Hachi Ketani. Matakanasan. If there's two people in one city asking each other, I know, how do you fix the problem? Then they could use things from that belong to the city. Yichtavu Chalkan Lanasi, should write their parts of the Nasi, and that they're not having a no from each other, and that can work. Zak the Hilig Gemara weiter. The Mishnah said, Rabbi Yehuda said, people that live in Gaul, they do not have to mizaka the chilik to Nasi because their fathers already did it, and it's as if it's already given over to the Nasi. Zak the Gemara Tanya, we learned in the Bible. Yehuda says, Anchi Gaul, the people in Gaul in the previous generations, Kantaronin. Hayu, they were people that they fought with each other, but Hayu Noidrin Hana Zamizeh. And while they were upset at each other, they would ask each other in Hana, and they would be Gorim and Michshol, that people would be over in Isser Nedarim, that they would use things from that belonged to the city, and they would be over in the Nether, because one guy asked another guy, but no, everything belonged to everyone in the city. So therefore, Amdu is saying, their fathers got up, they Kosfu Chalkein Lanasi, and they wrote everything that belonged to them. They always gave everything over to Anasi. Zok the Hilig the Mishnah weiter. Hamuder Hana mechaveroi ve'ein lo ima yoichav. Somebody asks his friend Hana, and his friend does not have what to eat, but he can't give him food because he can't have enough from him. He made a nether. The halacha is noisnoi la'acher l'shomatana. The mother can give food to a third person l'shomatana. The halah mutarba, and the moider would be mutar to eat from that. Why? Because it doesn't belong to the mother anymore, and the moider is not considered as if he's not having enough from the mother. Zok the Mishnah, Zok the Heilige Mishnah. Ma'isa be'echel be'escharen. There was a ma'isa story in a person in be'escharen. She'yaviv noider him eno hana, that his father asered him b'hana, that he can't have enough from his son. So his father said he's not going to have enough from his son. V'haya masias b'nai, and the father was marrying off the son was marrying off his son, so the grandson was getting married, and he wanted that his father should participate in the chasana. V'amar l'chaveri, and the son told his friend, Chatzer v'seuda nesunim hinon lefanecha. So the son told one of his friends, the Chatzer, and the place where all the Suda is going to take place, I'm giving it to you b'matana, ela kadei shi'avei abba v'yoichal iman b'suda, only because I want my father to come, and I want him to come here and have a no. So if it belongs to me, he can't come. But if it belongs to you, the friend, then he could come. Amar Loi, so the friend told him, Shalihem Harehim Mukdasham L'Shamayim. He said, you know what? It belongs to me. The Chatzar and the Suda, I'll be Mekadosh L'Shamayim. I'm making it hektish. Amar loy, so the giver told him, the son, Asata lecha shali shektatishim shamayim, did I give them to you that in order that you should be able to match shamayim? I gave it to you just so my father could come, and we could find a way that he could come and participate in the chas and have enough from it, and it wouldn't be having enough from the ben, it would be from the chaverim. Amar loy, so the Makabel told him, the friend, Asata li eshalcha ela shetei ato avicha eichel m'shoisin m'sratin zelazeh. So he told him, are you giving it to me only that your father come eat? And then there will be a sin hanging on my head because I'm being the one that's going to be caused that the father is going to be over on his nether. So he's trying to tell him that that's not really giving. If you're giving it to me and I can't be makdash shamayim, I can't do whatever I want with it. That's not really giving it to me. So it's really technically not a matana in that case, and the father's going to be over his nether. So Amru Chachamim, after this story happened in Beis Chorin, Chacham said, Kol matana she'ena shemikdisha eina mukadeshes eina matana. Any matana that a guy gives his friend, it's not a matana gemura, and the halacha is that if the friend is makdashit, the kedusha wouldn't be kedushin because the noisin would not agree to that. In that case, eina matana, and it's not considered matana also legabe nedarim, and it would be considered the guy's over his neder if they go ahead and have it on that case. Zok the Gemara, my solicitor l'chayr Zok the Gemara. Mishnah starts off saying that if someone's made enough from his friend, he can give it to a third person matana, and then the mother could have anah. So the Gemara, my solicitor. Then you bring a mice from Beis Chorin that you can have anah. In the case where he gave it to his friend. This is like the Gemara, no, chsuri mechsur. It's missing some words. V'hachitani, this is how you have to learn it. If the end of the Maisa shows on the first part of the Maisa that it was not Meschavin, his intention was not to give him Matana Gemura, then the halacha is it's aser from the Moed to have enough from the Matana. U'Maisa Nami, you find such a Maisa Beis Chorin, be'echad, have a Seifa Mechiachat Chalasai, where you see in the case of the story of Beis Chorin, that the guy wanted to makdash shamayim, and the Noisin said no way. So in that case, so the Gemara is bringing that case. The Gemara is bringing this mice at the end to support the first halacha that it said. And it's saying that only a matana gemura would help, and not a matana where it's not a matana gemura where the guy can't be makdash it. Zok the Gemara, Amar Rava, Lo Shanu. Amarava, Lo Shanu, that the matana does not work and you still have an Isser Neder. Ela the Amar Loi, that the Noisin told the Makabel the time they gave him the matana, Hinan v'hinan l'fanecha ela kadosh yavav. It tells him, I'm giving it to you as matana, only my father should come. Aval Amar Loi. But if the Noisin tells the Makabel, Sheyihu l'fanecha sheyavayabo, that I'm giving you the chutzner and the suda as a matana, that my father should come. So if he told him, I'm Amar Lei, so this two Lashon is meaning, child, what does it mean to say when he said, in which case is it considered Seifa Mechiachat Chilasa, and it's going to be Aser. So the first lashon in the Gemara is saying, the Rav is saying that the only time you say that matana does not help is it says hina lefanecha. Here, I'm giving it to you, this area, this chatzar, the suin, the whole chasana. Ela kadosh yeshiva. It tells him specifically that it's only for this reason that my father should come. But if he tells him amalei lefanecha sheyavei abba, he tells him I'm giving it to you, but also I want my father to come. And midayit chud amalei, he tells him that if you agree to my father to come, then he could come. So in that case, that's going to work. In that case, the matana would work. And we mutter havana. Lishna achrina, Amalei, is another lashon. Amar Rava says, Loi taima, don't say the reason why the matana is not chal, the Amalei, v'hina l'fanecha, because he told him, I'm giving it to you in order my father should come eat by the Suda. And only then who the asar, that's when it's asar. Aval Amar Lei, but if he tells him but if he tells him Stam Heilim Fanecha, here it is that my father should come eat, but he doesn't tell him B'loshin Tanai, Means it doesn't say Ella only on condition my father comes. Let's say you just tell them Stam. Here, I'm giving it to you, my father's coming. So don't say no, in that case it's mutter. Ella, rather, the truth is that afilu amarle hein lefanecha yav yochel, even if it doesn't say b'loshen tanai that is making condition. His time says, here it is, my father's come eat. Still, it's not going to be matana, and it's also the father to come. Why? My timer? Because sudasai mechiach alav, sudasai mechachas alav. You see from his actions that the intention of the noisin is not to give him a Tana Gemura, because it's a clear thing that a person does not just give away a matana, the suda that he prepared for his son's chasana. So therefore, even if from the lashon the guy uses, even if it's not mamish a lashon of Tanai, but if it just seems like the only reason why he's doing it, from the words he's using, it seems like the only reason why he's doing it because he wants his father to come. In that case, Zakti Gemara and Rava in the second lashon, it's still going to be aser. Zakti Gemara weiter. Hahu Gavra, we see this story over here. Dahavale bra. A person had a son. Dahavashamit kife de kitana. He was stealing bundles of flax. The father assered his son to have enough from his assets, from his nechasim, in his lifetime and even after he passes away. Amrulei. So people told the father, why are you assering your son to have enough from nechasim even after you die? If your son would be a Talmid Chacham, mai, then of course you would want him to have enough for him in Chasim. I'm sorry, no. So people told him not if your son would be a Turah. I told him if your grandson, if this son that you asked enough, if his son would be a Talmid Chacham, you want him to have enough from your Chasim. About you would want him. So why are you asking on the son that he should not be able to inherit your Nechasim after he dies? Maybe your grandson, that's a Talmid Chacham, will have enough of them. So Amr Lahain, so he told these people, you're right. So therefore he said, Likni Hadain, also my son should have a chilik in my nechasim after he dies. V'havi bar bri, that if his son is a tzurva merabanim l'kanaya, then this grandson would be able to have a chilik in his father's Yerusha. So the Gemara is clearing, what's the halacha of a guy such as a zach? If he really doesn't want his son to be kind of nechasim, because he's upset at him because he stole a good suspicion or whatever, but he's concerned that maybe his grandson will be a Talmid Chacham and he wants him to have a hanas from Chacham. What's the halacha? Could this grandson be zoicha in the chelik of his father Yerusha or not? Amri Pumpedisoi, the Chacham of Pumpedisa paskin Keni almanas lahaknesu, that this case is a case of Keni almanas lahaknes, that he's trying to be zeicha to someone only almanas to maknes somebody else. So he doesn't want his son to be zeicha nechasim, but he's only being zeicha him in order that his grandson should be zeicha. V'chol keni almanas lahaknes leikane. And any time there's a kinyan that is not that the koina should be maknid, it's only for somebody else. Halacha is nachal. Rav Nachman Amar, and Rav Nachman says, kani. In such a case, kani almanas lahaknes, you are koina. And what's the raya? The hasudra, because a sudra that a koina gives to the meicher, and it's koina karka, kani almanas lahaknesu. That's considered kani almanas lahaknes. Why? Because the sudra doesn't stay in the hands of the meicher. He gives it back to the koiner with a regular kinyan. So kum dois, when the makna gives the sudra to the meicher, he's makna to him almanasa, he gives it back to him, and still you see that the meicher is zeicha in it, because otherwise the kinyan sudra would not be chal at all. So you see from kinyan sudra, Dr. Nachman, that kani almanas lahaknos does work. So the Gemara is matchil raya. Amar Rashi uman limlan the sudra itafes leila mitvus. He's saying, what's your raya for kinyan sudra? Maybe my kinyan sudra, if the meicher goes ahead and he says, you know what, I want that sudra, maybe he could take it. It's just the meaning that the meicher gives it back. But if he wants it, he has the rights to it. So what's your raya to the halacha of kani almanas lahaknes is not kaina? Va'oid, and another chilik you can make Sudara Kiniyam Manas Lahaknes. So the more wants to say another chiluk that what? That bis Sudara Kiniyam Manas Lahaknes Uknimin Hashtar. By Kinyan Sudar, a typical Kinyan Sudar. Even if the moich is chayiv to give it back to the koina, but lamaisa you have a maila by kinyan sudar as knimin hashta, that as soon as the koina gives the moicher the sudar, right away the moicher is zoich it. Right away the kinyan's chal. But halei nichsi the hadain, when the father's makna the chassan to his son, le'imasai kani, when does the father want the kinyan to be chal? Only chihava b'abrei tzura rabbanon, when his grandson becomes a tzura rabbanon. The chihava hadar sur de lamari, and at that time l'chayra at that time when the grandson becomes a tzura rabbanon, which could be many years later, at that time there's no kinyan. Let's say it was done with a kinyan chazaka that the father gives his son, but there's no kinyan even taking place at that time. So he's saying, how could you compare it to a case of kinyan sudar and say that it's comparable? Zok the Gemara, Amar le Rav Nachman, Rav told Nachman, Vaha manas bescheuren. So he said, what do you mean? The manas bescheuren in the Mishnah, that the Mishnah said. So Rav is asking Rav Nachman that holds Lamais. Lamais Rav Nachman holds that Kaniyam Manas Lahaknis is kaina. So Frak Rav Nachman, the case of manas bescheuren, the Kaniyam Manas Lahaknis, or the Chayr, the case of Kaniyam Manas Lahaknis. Because he's only been making him like al das his father should come to the wedding. V'loika kani. You see in the Mishnah that the makabel's not kaina the chatzar the suda. So you see kani amanas lahaknes is nachal. So what does the Nachman have to answer to that? Zakti Gemara Zimnin Amar lei mishum sudasa b'chachas alav. Rav Nachman answered to that at times there are times like the case of. So it's the Gemara that Rav Nachman had different answers to this question for the Mishnah. That Zimna Amalei sometimes he said because the Suda is muchach that he's only doing it that he wants his father to come to the Suda, so that's why maybe the Mishnah is nachal. But Zimna at times Rav Nachman answers the question. He said that the Mishnah is going Zimna Amalei Rebbe Lezer. He said the Mishnah is going like Rebbe Lezer. It says before that we had Rebbe Lezer says on Lam Beis and Beis that afilu viter, things that normally people are it's usual for people to mivata to each other, and then makbid. Releza said viter is aser b'meider ano. It's aser to have ano from a madir, and just like there were people, just like where we find Relezer's machmer legabe nedarim, viter is aser b'meider ano. So too there were machmer also legabe the halacha of kinyan manas lahaknos, that although the kinyan is chal, so maybe the kinyan would be chal, the father and the son and the chasana. However, they were machmer that the issa nether would bleibe. Al viter asar meida no. So he's saying maybe the Mishnah is going like Rebbe Lezer, viter asar meida no. Zok the hilig gemara vayker tanan. We learn to the seif of the Mishnah. Legabe the ma'isa of beis chayrin. Amru chacham said kol matana. She'ena she'emikdisha tehim kodeshes. Any matana that you give that it's not that if the makabel wants to mikashet, he could be mikashet. Any matana is not a matana at all. So the Gemara wants to know kol lasuyamai. This says kol matana. What's kol coming to include? So the Gemara la lasuya han milsa dekipi deshadi bekipi. Isn't it coming to include this case also, like by Dinim Mamis, not just by Nedarim, but also by Dinim Mamis? A father asked his son in the Chasim because he stole a good pishtin, and not like Rav Nachman. Rav Nachman says that Kniyam Manas Lahaknes, and it could be Kaine, because maybe you'll have a grandson, that'll be Ben Benoy, will be Talmud Chacham. So you see, the Mishnah is coming saying Kol, that it's not a matana, even in the case of this case. Zakti Gemara, no, loy. It's not what it's coming to in Marber, Kniyam Manas Lahaknes. Rather, Lasuya Lishna Basra, Deshmaitze de Rava. It's coming to in Marber, even the second lashon that the Gemara explained before in Rava, which was that even if the father does, even if the ben does not tell Chaveiro, his friend, to take the Nesuin and the Sudas Nesuin and the Chatzar, even if it does not tell him Baloshan Tanai, that he's only doing it Kadeshi Yavayavya, even if it just says, take it V'Yavayavya, still it's not a matana because it's mechiach from the lashon that he's using, or from with the story that's going on. It's mechiach that his whole kavana of the noisin and the ben in that case is not to give it a matana gemura, and he's only doing it because he wants his father to have a nasa. Therefore, Zakh the Mishnah Kol, even in such a case where it doesn't say specifically in a lashon tanai, still it's not going to be a matana. It still will not be a matana gemura in that case, and it will be nechshav that he's over on his neder. Hadran aloch hashutfin.